everyone, I'm Vladimir Duthiers. ISIS has a new method of warfare. The Pentagon has confirmed to CBS News that the terror group has used chemical weapons against peshmerga in Iraq. Let's get right to Chris Harmer, senior naval analyst at the Institute for Study of War. He joins me by phone. Thanks for being with us, Chris. How serious is this? What type of weapons is ISIS suspected of using?
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you. Sorry to be here under these circumstances. You are correct. This is the first confirmed use by ISIS of this type of chemical weapon on board a rocket delivery system. However, Al-Qaeda in Iraq, the forefathers of ISIS, they used chlorine bombs pretty regularly. So this is a weapon that ISIS is familiar with. They've got plenty of guys. They're weaponeers. They know how to make it. On the hierarchy of chemical weapons, chlorine gas is pretty tame by comparison. It's not a compounded nerve agent like VX or sarin, but I don't want to overemphasize how important this is, but I also don't want to underestimate the importance on the battlefield. As a battlefield denial weapon, chlorine gas is very effective. It doesn't have really a high toxicity or a high fatality rate, but it's got a very high rate of injuring fighters and making it difficult for them to return to the battlefield. So as an area denial weapon, I think this is a significant development in the ISIS arsenal.
Chris, it was unclear from the Pentagon how ISIS got these weapons. It's been reported time and time again that Bashar al-Assad has used them on rebels in Syria. Any idea, any intel at all as to where they may have gotten these weapons from?
I don't have any specific intel on where I got them or where they got them, but you and I, if we had a laboratory equipment in our garage, we could go out and make it. You've got thousands of Americans who make methamphetamines in the garage. This just isn't that hard to make chlorine gas. As you know, chlorine is it's part of the periodic table of elements. It's a naturally occurring element. It's completely impossible to control the flow of a substance like that because it's got so many commercial applications, so many residential applications. It's just not that hard to isolate chlorine gas and then weaponize it. My only surprise here is that it has taken ISIS this long to actually weaponize it in terms of putting it on Katyusha rockets. Their methodology in the past has been to take industrial-sized trucks, delivery vehicles, something like that, pack it full of several thousand pounds of chlorine gas, then detonate it. That's fairly ineffective in terms of inducing fatalities. It's very effective in terms of inducing terror as an area denial weapon. So from a supply side perspective, it's almost impossible, well, it's flat out impossible for us to really control the supply of chlorine to ISIS. It's going to be a problem that Peshmerga, Iraqi security forces, and any of the friendly moderates that the U.S. is attempting to train in Syria are going to have to face. I just don't think our surrogate allies in the region are ready for this.
Yeah, that's a good question, Chris. Do you think that perhaps the Peshmerga may actually get their hands on these weapons as well and use them in retaliation against ISIS?
I think it's fairly easy for the Peshmerga to get their hands on it. I don't think they're going to want to escalate. You know, the Peshmerga are de facto allied with the United States. That's a red line they don't want to cross. The other thing to keep in mind is once sides start trading chemical weapon attacks, it really escalates pretty rapidly. If you look at the history of chemical weapon use in World War I, both sides used it. Neither side got an advantage of it. If you think how horrible the German military was in World War II, they never even used chemical weapons. So I think the Peshmerga look at this and say they are a rational society representing a rational people. They don't want to escalate this. So I think it's unlikely that the Peshmerga will escalate. I think it's very likely that they're going to ask the United States for supplemental funding for chemical weapon protection gear, gas masks, things of this nature.
Chris Harmer, thank you so very much.